Playwrightpreneurs podcast is brought to you by my new book, Everybody's Got a Story: How to Write, Direct, and Produce Yours for Stage. Do you want to become a playwrightpreneur? Perhaps you have an idea, a unique experience, or a scenario that you would like to see unfold on the stage. In my new book, Everybody's Got a Story, I offer strategies, information, and valuable resources that will help inspire your story into a theatrical stage play. Just go to Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, or to my website, tracybonick.com, to get your copy now. Let's get started with this episode. This is episode 20 of the Playwrightpreneurs podcast.
Welcome to the Playwrightpreneurs Podcast, the place where independent playwright entrepreneurs can find tips and keen insights that will help them achieve more success without all of the stress. Here is your host, Tracy Bonnick.
Thank you for joining us on this episode, Moses.
No, thank you for having me. I'm ecstatic on being on your podcast and being able to break bread and share information so we can continue to grow.
That's right. You are quite welcome. Well, please tell our listening audience some things about you.
Well, Moses Washington, born and raised in Miami, Florida, attended Miami Carroll City Senior High School, graduated, got a full scholarship to attend the University of Oklahoma on a track and field scholarship, received my bachelor's in African American Studies and my master's in Human Relations at the University of Oklahoma. And there I found that I had a hidden talent that I never knew that I had. And that is writing and directing theatrical stage play production.
You found your hidden talent. How did you find it? What inspired you to become a playwright?
Well, I always wanted to be an actor. I acted in a show in Miami, at my high school called the Amen Corner. I'm pretty sure everybody's familiar with the Amen Corner, but I always wanted to get into acting, but I never had the actual time to do it because my life was revolved around sports. So when I got to college, I was one of the class clowns, so I always told jokes. So I was really inspired by one guy there who was a comedian, and I asked him how does he write his material. I wanted to try to get into it. So I started off writing jokes and being a comedian. I performed in this thing called the Blue Review. I'll never forget. And I did a stand-up comedy act. And it was okay. It wasn't the best, but it was okay. And I got approached by a young man. He was like, "Hey, you're funny. I'm funny. We should do something big. Invite everybody there." And I was like, "What you thinking?" It's like, "I don't know, man, we should do a play." And I was like, "Okay, we can do a play." He's like, "Okay, here's the idea. And you come up with your ideas." I was like, "All right." He said, "No, but I want you to write your ideas down. This is like the theme I want the play to be around." So I went home, took his ideas and began to write. And I came up with my first script indirectly, not even looking to be a writer. And we performed it, and it was a sold out audience. And everybody loved it. So I thought it was beginner's luck. So I tried to write another show, and it was a success again. Then I began to try to learn from the mistakes and the things that I didn't know how to do. And I'll probably get into that more in my interview, but that's how I actually got started into theatrical stage play production.
That is amazing. And tell us about what you call the IAA, an organization you started.
Independent Artists Association, IAA. It was to help develop a market for upcoming artists to display their talents, whether it's art exhibits, dance recitals, comedy shows, or theatrical stage play production, or music. At the University of Oklahoma, a lot of the African Americans were blacklisted, typecasted to do certain performances in the theater department or the musical department. I.e. George Huff, who was the finalist in American Idol. He was in the music department, who they took his scholarship from because they felt like he didn't fit the status quo of what they're looking for. A lot of actors were not getting main or big roles. They were getting small roles like the maid or the servant, and they wasn't being able to be highlighted. So I said, "Hey, if they don't like you guys over there in that performing arts building, come to our side and we'll make you a star amongst your own community." And that's what I did.
I love that story. Well, what was the name of your first original work?
My first stage play I ever wrote was called Situations, and it was based around college life and athletics and being an athlete and how the perception of how students perceive athletes, and especially African-American athletes walking around campus. Very breathtaking because we was never considered smart. We was always looked upon downly. They always consider all athletes dogs, and we had a free education. We was not appreciative of the opportunity that was afforded to us. We was really received a lot of backlash from our own people, our own peers, and our own community because of the pedestal that the media put us on or how the college highlighted us. So we was considered the dumb Negro that's sold themselves out to perform for a bigger stage, but don't really have a reality of life.
Well, which production is your favorite so far?
That's a hard one because everyone has this unique personality. But if I could say which one is probably my favorite that I liked the most was The Moment of Truth. The Moment of Truth was probably the one that kind of separated myself as a writer because that was the first show I didn't act in, I just directed.
Was that back in college also, or when you?
No, that was here in Miami, Florida.
Okay, The Moment.
Are you talking about the best show I did in college?
No, just
man,
overall. That's fine. Overall. So it's The Moment of Truth. Tell us about that show.
Moment of Truth was about a couple. It dealt with sexual assault. It was a young lady who got raped, and she was dealing with the traumatic experience of being raped and being married, where she didn't want to touch or be sexual active with her husband anymore because of what happened. From the rape, she carried a child, and she birthed the child out from the rape. And she was dealing with that traumatic experience of carrying a child, trying to revive, and the husband was getting frustrated because his wife wouldn't show him any attention, and he couldn't really grasp the understanding of what she was going through internally. She wrote a book called Conceived by Rape, and to help her with her therapy, and the book blew up, and she became this big writer, and she was dealing with going on the road, dealing with her husband. There was a lot going on, and the person who raped her got out of jail, reformed his life, and wanted joint custody of the child.
Wow. That sounds like a movie I want to see. That's great. And did you do that one recently? Is that the most?
Yeah, I did that last year on January 23rd. It was actually the grand opening act at the Lauderhill Performing Arts Center. I was the first African-American performance there at the brand new theater. And we performed The Moment of Truth there.
Oh, I bet that was great. And I heard that theater is awesome. I haven't been to that theater yet because since then, in the last 3 years almost, I've been in Georgia instead of the Miami area. But hopefully I can get down there and see your show there. That would be great.
And I'm trying to get to Atlanta area to do a show in Atlanta. Everybody says you haven't made it until you do a show in Atlanta. So that's like my biggest bucket list right now.
Is that so?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to find that out this year. You just put the pressure on me. Okay, thanks for telling me that. I hadn't heard that. So are you coming this year, or you're putting it in being planned?
I'm planning on coming this year. I'm not sure, depending on how this web series that we're filming right now goes. But that was the first priority when I finished this show, to plan a trip to Atlanta. My focus kind of shifted with putting together this web series. It's just like a different feeling and motivation that's coming about. It has my focus right now.
Well, that's great. Well, I can't wait to talk about the web series as well. Let me ask you this. Did you start out with a solid budget?
My first show, no, because it was in college. So we just went through my organization. So we got the theater for free. We spent the little change that we had to buy food and everything. But as I grew and began to travel through the tri-state of Oklahoma, I had to start putting together a budget. So I didn't start off with a solid budget, but the more I did my show, I found out by trial and error how important startup funds budget is, and how does it play into the grand scheme of things to actually letting your shows be financially successful for yourself. You want to always receive something in return from all the hard work that you put in. So creating a budget, getting an understanding, project the audience, marketing, all those things play a big part into you not starting from ground zero or putting yourself in the bind or having your face be not a good service because you could not pay people that worked in your production.
Share with our listening audience any failures along the way and how you overcame them.
One of the biggest things that I struggled with when I first started, I didn't have any structure. I remember when I first started, I invited a young lady named Monica Jones to my rehearsal. She was a theater student at the University of Oklahoma, and I told her she was one of the actors that got typecasted. They'll put as a stage manager, they'll make her work the show, but then she could never land a role. So I told her, they don't like you over there. Come over here. We got a role for you. So she was excited, come over to my production, and she came to a rehearsal, and she saw my rehearsal. I had to stop her from leaving. Like, hey, where you going? Hey, where you going? She's like, this is rhetoric. This is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Hey, what are you talking about? She's like, this is not how you run a rehearsal. This is not what you do. This is not, this is not art. And I was like, well, help me. Show me what I did wrong. I want to learn. Show me. And I became a student of her as she took the information that she learned from the actual theatrical department at the University of Oklahoma, and she poured it into me, and she helped me grow. So I guess it wasn't a failure because I got caught early on, but helped me get a lot more structure for my rehearsal, helped me understand character development, helped me understand, character description, character breakdown. Those things I didn't know. I just had a script and I just kind of had my cast just do whatever. She brought order to it. Stay with the script. The script is right. This is not how you write a script. This is how you organize your script. This is how you put, and she just became my teacher. So that's how I became who I am today as a playwright.
That is wonderful that you were able to become a student of someone you brought in, which is amazing because I know there's a lot of independent playwrights who, like you said, just put together a script and just do something and don't really care about the structure. The structure makes everything run a little smoother. And I believe the audience can tell when it's either just thrown together or it came off the top of your head or you know what you're doing. So that's just awesome. And that's probably how you over the years been able to get into like those major theaters, like the brand new one in Lauderhill. That's great. Yeah. I believe a lot of people, if they're listening, they can learn from what you just said. After you did, start your company after college, did you use professional actors or do you train new talent for your productions? I
train up new talent. I love working with raw actors, actresses. I use some big names, but not names that's notable, just in the local area names. I work with a lot of great people. They're all doing big things. Now they are in movies. Mary Milburn, she sings with Obama Quartet. So she travels with the Obama administration and sings. She was in my stage play production, Darnett Wilson. She moved to California. She's already been featured in 6 movies. Then, George Huff, she tours with Jennifer Hudson. There's a lot of people that came through my show. Shantae Browser, she just moved to California. She just landed 2 big roles in upcoming series. I forgot the name of it, but I work with a lot of people that transition to more bigger things, but no big names that actually set into my show that said, hey, I want to be a part of your show. No, not that. But I love working with young artists who are willing, who is committed. Yeah, I take commitment over anything, because when you're doing these shows that doesn't have the major budgets, you can't force people to actually be there because they're working around their schedule.
Yeah.
So, so I look for commitment. Who's willing to be here every day? If you're willing to be here every day, I can work you. I can coach you. I can develop you. And I think that's what it is. Inside of me, I'm a coach at heart. So I love working and developing new talent and new actors that already have the gift inside of them. They just have to find it and bring it out.
Working with people who have a commitment, so have a strong commitment. I'm sure everybody can resonate with that. Anyone who's listening, who's a playwrightpreneur like myself, those are the people you want to keep because, like you said, they stick with you. They stick with it. You can bring things out of them that's already there. That's wonderful.
When you have a rehearsal, if one person is missing, it throws the chemistry off with everything.
Yes.
So you have a whole scene, people probably travel 40 minutes to get to rehearsals, some 20, some right down the street, and they make sacrifices and they don't show up. Now it's just an unproductive rehearsal.
Right.
So you want to get people who are committed so you can continue and have a healthy practices and people start not losing faith in you as a leader. Why such and such never comes? I'm always here every night. But then when such and such do come, the other person takes a day off because they've been there every night. And, so you want to make sure you have that strong team that that they're going to be there on time and ready to work.
I don't mean to laugh, but that's because I'm feeling you. I understand. Oh, how I understand. That's exactly what happens. One person doesn't show up this week, so then the next person takes off the next week, and then it's just crazy. But
yeah, so I always ask when they come to my show, are you doing any other shows?
Yeah.
Because a lot of busy people have less committed. They have a lot, they have commitment problems because they tied everywhere. So I work out a rehearsal schedule. Like, hey, these are the rehearsal schedules. This is the days that I have. Are you able to commit to these days? And then we move from there. But hopefully people can keep their word. Once they start faltering on that, I already started getting ready for the replacement.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for the most part, I moved past that stage with getting them to commit to 2 or 3 days a week.
Right. So, share with our listening audience about your community involvement.
I do a lot of different things in the community. I have so many different groups. I have Cash Pop, and that's Restoring Our Community, where we go and support Black businesses, independent business in our community. So I get like a group of 10 or 20 or 30 people. We all pick a day and we pick a group, establishment, and we go support them. And we go service them. We go buy it. We promote it on Facebook, Instagram, and we try to highlight them so people can come and support them and tell them. And we try to do it where it becomes in our regular schedule. We also cash mob families where we get a lot of groceries for families that's needed families. I get a list from a high school football coach or a track coach who see kids who don't have shoes or seem like they having some issues at home, and we'll supply them with food and clothes for the children. So we do a lot of things like that. And we do an annual homeless feed where we go feed the homeless, and we do a clothes drive that day too as well, where the homeless come and eat and we give them clothes. It's a very breathtaking moment when you're able to service people from your heart. No outside organizations giving us money, but we do from our heart. So things from our house, our own funding, we go support and service our community. So I'm very thankful to be a part of things like that. And for my shows, I do a free show for kids. Haven't did it on the last 2 shows because it wasn't age appropriate, but we do a free show for kids. We've talked with His House, Job Corps always get free tickets. The Miami Bridge of Family Youth Services, that's a homeless shelter for youth. They've been to our show, and we let them have backstage access and talk with us and walk the red and black carpet and take pictures.
That is such a blessing to the community, and that's why your company is blessed, because you do all of those things. I had no idea you did those. What did you call it? You called it the cash bar? Is that what you said?
Cash mob. It's called cash mob.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Cash mob. So you go cash out different locations. So we did Betty restaurants. We did Coloring for Friends. It was an artistic school that was going out of business. We went and serviced them because they wasn't getting clientele. It was very independent. So we had like 20, 30 people come do painting with a twist there and spread the word so we can help foster her and keep her in business. We did an independent clothing store. We did a lot of things, and we're still doing it. So it's still going.
That's awesome. And hopefully you'll share with us before this podcast is over. If anyone wants to join you in that endeavor, helping the community, they'll know how to get in touch with you as well. That's just fantastic. I had never heard that before. I'd like you to also tell our listening audience about your YouTube show called Let's Talk MoWash.
Oh, Let's Talk MoWash. It's a radio show, actually. If you download the Strong On app, it's every Tuesday at 8 p.m. And we talk about what's going on in our community, and we talk about sensitive issues. It's called Let's Talk MoWash, but we're real raw and radical. So last week we talked about HIV. Sometimes we talk about the impact of disciplining your children with a belt. Is it effective? We talk about social issues that really gravitate our audience. Police brutality, and we come from a real raw and radical aspect. We bring in educators about education, we talk about a lot of different variety of things that's happening in our community. Tomorrow we're talking to our Black nurses in our community and the role that they play in the hospital, and talk about the malpractices of doctors and how the nurses are getting blamed for a lot of malpractices from doctors and how they're treated of being a woman of color working in the hospital. So it'll be good tomorrow as well.
Well, that's great. Okay. I have a lot of nurse friends too. I'm going to tell them about it. So they need to get the Strong Arm app.
Download the Strong Arm app, or I think I'm going to go live from my Facebook page for a little while. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if I'm going to stay live on my Facebook page. Last week we did human trafficking, and I tried not to go live the whole show, but everybody kept commenting about, different things that they learned about human trafficking.
Good. We can listen to you on either Facebook Live or the Strong Arm app. I'll get that information out, and we'll have it in the show notes for those who, by the time this podcast comes up, they'll get to go on and find you as well. That sounds great.
Absolutely.
And has playwriting led to other streams of income, such as books, movies, etc.?
I haven't ventured out. Like I said, I wrote a sitcom called Living with Cleophas. We was in the makes of moving. We came on pause because the studio that we was working in didn't pass an inspection, so they had to fix those issues. So our project had been put on a pause, and they haven't really rectified all the issues in the studio. But and I'm working on this web series now. We kind of venture out and build a more broader audience, technology, telecommunication way. Because, as a playwright, we do a play locally, and then once you finish, that's it.
Yes.
You got to wait on the DVD, you got to wait on the trailer. But, these audience nowadays, they're not going to sit down 2 hours and watch something on the internet for 2 hours. They will come to a show and do it, but you start pushing your shows and getting people to buy DVDs. It's just very difficult. It's not on Amazon or any other filtering avenues that everybody's used to now. So,
Right.
Getting out there and do a web series and dropping it on YouTube or drop it on your Facebook, you would get more views and more followers. And then you can start trying to get money solicited to them buying certain ways or buying through Amazon and things like that.
Right. Well, share with us your experience about creating your web series.
Well, web series is different. It's different. It's challenging. It's they're actually, if you hear somebody talking in the background, that's a group of writers that wants to audition to help me continue the writing process, and they're going through the script and they're tearing it apart and then telling me what needs and what they don't like, and I have to sit down with them and agree or disagree. But web series is tedious. You have to be very organized. You have to have patience, and you have to have leadership skills, because 2 pages, my first page, I have 25 actors that's needed on the first 2 pages. And then the next 3 or 4 pages is a whole different set of actors and sceneries. So it's so much, like with a play, you have 10 to 8 actors on stage and you work with them. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to work with 25 different people and having them in the right place. And then you have to do your treatment plan on writing where you're going to actually film. And then you have to get the permits for filming. Then you have to actually do the rehearsals. And then you have to do a storyboard, and where you have to point out every camera shot, every camera angle that you have to do. Is very, very tedious, but it's worth it. It's teaching me another element that I want to go into if I'm going to be able to write, direct movies and stuff. So I have to know these different elements at this level. And I think I count it as a blessing.
That is a blessing. You're almost scaring me away, because I've been thinking about the same thing. But perhaps if you finish yours, you could teach others like myself. So that's great.
Yeah. Just creating the look. Like we have a police station scene. So now you have to find somewhere where you're going to film a police station. Now you have to get rights. You got to figure that out. And then you have somebody who gets shot. Now you have to figure out how to create the blood look.
Yes.
Then the editing is a whole nother storyboard. How they edit, is how the camera shot. That's a whole nother storyboard. The writing is a whole nother storyboard. Then the acting is just so many different elements that make film a success. And it's just not the story itself of the writer. It's actually the director, it's the camera shots, camera angles, it's where you have the location, it's the scenery music. It's just a full. That's why them credits be so long when you be at the movie.
Yes, that's a whole nother movie, the credits, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I guess so. I never thought of it like that, but this is just so exciting, just hearing the things you're doing. And I know they're going to be successful. I'm glad to know that I could say I spoke to Moses Washington. I interviewed him on my show. So, I have those props that I could keep with me forever. But before we close out, would you please share with our audience a resource, whether it's a book, a play, an industry conference, or even a podcast that helped or inspired you over the years?
What inspired me over the years? I've always been a student. So I will always go to Broward College, and I will go to all the theatrical performances. Not all of them, but I go to a majority of them. Mm-hmm. And I just sit and I learn. And I sit and I go talk to the teachers and professors, and I ask to sit in their rehearsals. And I'm always sitting behind somebody learning. It was a guy named Damian McKnight who does stage play productions down here. I was an actor in one of his shows, so I can learn. And not to learn, because there's 2 different types of learning. You have people that come into your production or in your circle and they steal. Mm-hmm. And then you have people that come in your circle that learn and create their own image for themselves, where right. You don't feel threatened that your information is leaving, that they still can be their own person. He trusted me enough to come in knowing that I was a director, to be in his show, to know that I won't steal anything that I have, but to learn. And if I need something, like, hey, Damien, I like this, what you did. Do you mind if I use this in my show? Mm-hmm. And he would say, no, I don't have a problem. But I had people come on my show, and then you look up and they're doing the exact same thing, didn't say nothing to you, don't even speak to you no more. It's like, wait, hold on. It's a certain tact that comes about when you let people into your circle. So, but I sit and I learn and I ask them permission if it's okay, because it's their idea.
Right.
And if they say no, I respect that and I move away from that aspect of it,
Right.
because people are very particular about their work and what they come up with. So we all learn. Yes, we have I guess what's the word I'm looking for? We are we are aware of a lot of things that goes on, and you can see that in our writing. But at the same time, we have to be respectful for people that are doing things that's already in motion that we haven't started yet.
Yes, absolutely. And, I hate to say it, but it's kind of not fair when God gives you something and you develop it and you work hard on it. And then someone comes and watch your show. And the next thing you know, they got the same show. They just changed the word or something,
I mean, it's good. It's good and bad, because as a playwright, we should always be evolving.
Yeah.
So, at my shows, I have 8 to 10 playwrights that come to look at what I did wrong and what they can do better versus appreciating the work,
Right.
So we're always judged. We're judged really crucially by our own peers, So they don't come to say, oh, man, Moses does great shows. They come to say, oh, what can I do better than him? Oh, I like that. I'm taking this. And they do it all the time. They sit there. I mean, I greeted almost 7 playwrights at my own show. And it may look like they're there out of respect. Some of them may. But the majority of them are there to figure out how they can become better or what I did wrong, so they can criticize me and belittle me and say, hey, he's not that good. That's what people come there about. Front row seats to watch you fail.
Right. But you know what? You're not going to fail. And that's what pushes you forward. Sometimes, because of this flesh, sometimes it irritates you or could make you upset. But then when you think about it after a while, God really opens doors for you that nobody can close. And, it really doesn't. It matters to you, but it doesn't matter in the whole stream of things. Because look at you. It didn't stop you. You're still going forward. You're doing great things. I mean, I'm just so blown away by the cash mob and the things you're doing for the community. Darn well you're going to be blessed for all of that. And I know that's not why you do it. You have a heart for the people, and that's the blessing in it. So, I understand. Trust me, I do. But I have to pull up sometimes myself and say, hey, you got to keep moving forward. You got to keep doing this. It doesn't matter. They used to say that flattery is when someone copies you, that's the best form of flattery. I'm not flattered. But, it's all right. Hey, you're doing your thing, and I appreciate what you're doing. I've been watching you for a long time from afar. I just know you're doing great things. I think I contacted you about maybe a good 6 years ago when I first started writing plays. Well, not started writing plays. I decided to mount my first show, and I saw you online, I think. And I said, let me write to him. And, I was just writing to different playwrights that I saw online and to see, if they had any information where I could go find out how to do this better. And you responded to me, and I think you gave me some information, and I always appreciated that. I went forward and did my own shows. You just been a great help to the community. I know you were a help to me and didn't even know me. I don't think we've ever met in person, but
I have a great philosophy in regards to that. Your audience is your audience. There's nothing I can do to steal your audience. And It's too many people in this world to be stingy of information. That's just me,
Yes.
But I think it's a tactful way to do it. And I want to commend you to continue to grow, continue to push forward. I mean, your consistency shows your appreciation to God that He is giving you something that you're continuing to do. A lot of people lose their consistency and they miss out on what level God wants to actually elevate them to. Because it's the growth process as you do this. And every day you do it, and the consistency and the commitment to what you do, God rewards you for being faithful to His word and trusting in Him.
Yes.
So we forget that, that He rewards us because of our faithfulness. Our faithfulness is believing in Him and continue to do what He has birthed inside of us despite what everything is happening. And then that's when we are blessed. This one we have blessing that overflows because we are faithful. Faithful is committed to what He said. So I'm walking to be blessed by what God has given me to do. So
thank you so much. Amen. Yes, amen. Okay, I know you told us about the web series you're working on right now. Are there any other projects that we need to know about, that we need to be looking for, that you're working on currently?
No, that's it. This is the web series, the last thing that I'm working on. And if anything else transpires from that, you'll be the first one to know. But right now, it's just doing community involvement and a web series right now. And we're going to see how that goes. Trailer for my show that I just did was going to be released. I'm going to talk to the camera guy on Wednesday. That's a whole nother conversation about how to get your stuff filmed professionally done so it can actually be marketable to your audience.
Great. I want to have you back. For sure. Yeah. Yes. Good. So you said you're going to film that. Are you going to have that for sale, that project, to teach people that? Or how are you going to do that?
Oh, no. I said I want to talk to people how to film things. I should do a workshop on that. But it's just when you do a play, the one thing that we sell short is the filming, the miking, the sound. If you have a good project, you can have a sorry project filmed great and it will sell.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? But you can have a great project filmed bad and it won't go anywhere. So we have to take pride in how we film things and how we push it out for the people to kind of see the visual. Everybody's not going to sit down and read a script, but they'll sit down and watch a visual for 5 to 6 minutes, and that could take you a lot more places.
Yes. Oh, well, I'm looking forward to that. Well, tell everyone where we can find you, your website addresses, your email addresses, your everything. And it will be in the show notes as well, but you go ahead and tell us where we can find you.
You can follow me. I have a fan page called MoWash Productions. That's MoWash, MOWASH Productions. I also have my personal page. I think I'm maxed out of friends, but you can send me one, Moses Washington. I have a website. It's www.mowashproduction.com. Production is not plural. It's without an S. So it's www.mowashproduction.com. And my Instagram is MoWash_production.
Okay, that's great. And everyone, this will be in the show notes. You just look down on this podcast and you'll have all that information. There'll be links to Moses' information. Well, Moses, I'd like to thank you once again for accepting the invitation to be on the PLAYWRIGHTPRENEURS podcast. I look forward to this going up so everyone can hear it, and definitely going to have you back on 2 reasons. The filming thing you just mentioned, and also I know you're going to be part of the PLAYWRIGHTPRENEURS conference that's coming up.
Conference, yeah. You want me to speak there that day, right?
Absolutely. Okay. I can't wait. And listen, I didn't know you knew all this stuff, so we may have to talk about what you're going to be speaking about.
Just let me know. I think I already prepared my speech and everything, and have it ready. I think when you first sent it to me, I spent a couple of days and I prepared myself. So you want me to change it, just let me know.
Oh, well, I don't know about change, add to it.
Okay.
That's great. I'm looking forward to this. So thank you once again for your time.
You too. Have a great one.
Thank you for listening. We appreciate your time. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to our show in iTunes and leave a review. We look forward to connecting with you next time on the PLAYWRIGHTPRENEURS podcast.